Have you ever felt that this world isn't all there is? Like a quiet whisper behind the noise reminding you there's something more, something just beyond the veil of routine and gravity? Maybe it was a sudden déjà vu, a moment of stillness where your heart remembered a version of you that you've never lived but deeply long for. If that sounds familiar, you're not imagining things. You're hearing a call from your highest self. And no, it doesn't ask you to push harder, fake positivity, or force your life into a shape that doesn't fit. It invites you to tune into, shift your vibrational state, the frequency you live and feel in every day. Because true transformation doesn't begin with action, it begins with alignment. Studies from Princeton and Stanford show we emit measurable electromagnetic fields that respond to emotion and intention. So, what if reality is listening? And what if the doorway to the life you crave is vibrational? Stay with me. What comes next may change everything. What if the greatest version of you isn't something you have to chase, but something you have to tune into? Most people hear quantum jumping and imagine closing their eyes, picturing a better life, and hoping the universe rearranges itself. But this isn't a fantasy game, and it's not about visualizing harder. The truth is far more empowering and far more real. You don't move through space. You change your vibrational state. That's the actual jump. Quantum jumping is not about effort. It's about frequency. The version of you who is healed, bold, creative, abundant already exists, not as a metaphor, but as a vibrational reality. Dr. Joe Dispenza puts it clearly, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And Bruce Lipton's research on epigenetics confirms it. Your thoughts and emotions regulate the chemistry of your body, your perception of the world, and the timeline you experience. So, how do you access that version of you? It begins with understanding entanglement. In quantum physics, two particles that have interacted remain linked no matter how far apart they are. A change in one affects the other instantly. That's not just theoretical. You are entangled with every version of you that has ever existed or could exist. That's why you sometimes feel moments of deep intuition, déjà vu, or sudden clarity. You're touching frequencies you don't yet live in, but they are real. You're already connected. You just haven't fully tuned in. And this isn't about forcing yourself to be happy or repeating affirmations that don't feel true. It's about becoming vibrationally incompatible with the old self, the one that loops fear, scarcity, shame, and instead, aligning with the self that feels light, open, centered. The shift is emotional, somatic, subtle, but once you feel it, your external world has no choice but to mirror it. It's not magic, it's mechanics. According to a 2020 study from the University of Vienna, quantum coherence, the ability of systems to remain interconnected even across distance, can exist within biological organisms, not just particles. That includes you. So, what does it mean for your life? It means you're not stuck. You're not behind. You're not too late. The timeline where things unfold with more grace, power, and alignment is already here, just waiting for a new signal from you. Have you ever felt a version of yourself just beyond reach, but deeply familiar? Tell me in the comments, and stay with me, because in the next part, we'll go deeper into the source behind it all. What is the quantum field really? If this video is stirring something inside you on inner curiosity or a quiet sense of truth, take a moment to like, subscribe, and tap the bell. Not just to follow along, but to keep yourself anchored in this frequency of awareness, because what you're about to discover may change the way you see everything. Have you ever stared at the sky and felt like it was alive with something unseen? That there's more to this world than form and structure, more than bills, traffic, and conversations that repeat? That feeling isn't naive. It's your awareness brushing up against something real, the quantum field. So what is it, really? At its simplest, the quantum field is a sea of invisible energy containing every possible outcome, every potential version of reality, all vibrating together in a state known as superposition. It's not science fiction. It's how subatomic particles behave when they're not being observed. They don't exist in one place, they exist in all possible places, until you observe them. That's where the observer effect comes in. When you focus your attention, especially with emotion, You collapse a wave of potential into a single event. In other words, you choose reality not just with your mind, but with your energetic presence. To make it real, let's revisit the famous double-slit experiment. When scientists fired particles through two slits, the result wasn't what anyone expected. The particles created a wave pattern suggesting they acted like energy, not matter. But the moment they were observed, they collapsed into particles, creating a fixed pattern. Observation changed the outcome. Not metaphorically, literally. Niels Bohr once said, "Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real." And Werner Heisenberg added, "The path comes into existence only when we observe it." These physicists weren't being mystical. They were reporting what the data showed reality responds to awareness. Even deeper, Indian physicist Amit Goswami argues that consciousness isn't just influenced by the field, it is the field. That what we think of as matter is simply collapsed consciousness, shaped by attention, emotion, and intention. So, what does that mean for your life? It means that your thoughts aren't just passive. Your emotions aren't random. They are signals, vibrational broadcasts that interact with the field in real time. Like tuning forks, your state of being determines what version of life you pull toward you. You're not manifesting from scratch. You're selecting what already exists. Have you ever felt that your mood changed reality around you? Like a ripple in still water? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience. And don't go anywhere, because in the next part, we'll go even deeper into this idea. Why the version of you that you long to become already exists, and how to find the signal that leads you there. What if the version of you that feels aligned, peaceful, abundant, and whole isn't something you need to become but someone you already are, on a different frequency? It might sound strange at first, but in quantum physics, this is not a fantasy, it's a framework. The abundant, healed, radiant version of you already exists, right now. Not in your imagination, but in what scientists call the quantum field, a space of pure potential, where every possible version of reality is vibrating simultaneously. Think of the quantum field as a bank of potential identities. Each version of you, confident, anxious, thriving, stuck, carries its own frequency. That's called a timeline vibration. And whichever one you align with, emotionally and energetically, becomes the one you begin to live out. Just like a radio doesn't create music, but simply receives it, you don't create your ideal self from scratch. You tune into that version through your inner state, your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions, and the clearer the signal, the stronger the alignment. In a 2017 study from the University of Geneva, researchers found that even photons, particles of light, respond to vibrational interference patterns based on information. Translation: the field is responsive. It's intelligent. It mirrors you. So when you shift from fear to presence, from doubt to gratitude, you're not acting positive. You're transmitting a new code into the field, one that magnetizes the version of you that already holds those traits. Have you ever felt a moment where you suddenly remembered who you could be, like touching a memory that never happened, but somehow feels more real than your past? If so, tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience. And stay close, because up next, we explore the bridge that takes you from intention to embodiment, the power of coherence, and how aligning your heart, brain, and body can open the doorway to quantum transformation. What if the doorway to your next reality isn't something you force open, but something that opens itself the moment your mind, heart, and body begin to move in harmony? This is the power of coherence, a state where your thoughts, emotions, and physical rhythms align into one unified signal. It's not just a poetic idea, it's measurable, it's biological. And it might just be the key to activating the version of you that already exists in the quantum field. Dr. Joe Dispenza describes coherence as the moment when your brain and heart speak the same language. In this state, your nervous system calms, your electromagnetic field strengthens, and your body begins to broadcast a new frequency, one the quantum field can clearly receive. So what does coherence actually look like? Studies from the HeartMath Institute show that during emotional coherence especially, feelings like gratitude, love, or appreciation, your heart rhythm becomes smooth and ordered. brain waves begin to synchronize. Breathing slows into a natural rhythm. This isn't spiritual theory, it's physiology. One 2022 study showed that within just 60 seconds of intentional breathing and gratitude, cortisol levels dropped while IgA and immune-boosting protein increased. Your biology listens. Your cells are paying attention. Want to try it right now? Place your hand gently over your heart. Close your eyes if you'd like. Breathe in slowly for 5 seconds. Hold. And exhale for 5 seconds. Do that for a minute. Now, bring to mind something or someone you're genuinely grateful for. Let the feeling fill your chest, even just a little. This simple coherence practice, done once or twice a day, begins to reset your emotional baseline. And when practiced consistently, it shifts your vibration, pulling you into resonance with that healed, radiant version of yourself we spoke about earlier. Have you ever noticed that when you're centered, calm and grateful, life seems to click into place more easily? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And stay with me because next, we dive into the science that explains why this works. Biology follows belief, how your perception literally reprograms your genes, energy, and reality. What if your genes weren't your destiny, but your response to life was? For years, we were told that DNA is a fixed script, that you are simply the product of your genes, but modern science says otherwise. Welcome to the world of epigenetics, where your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions write the story your genes express. And here's the core truth. Your body is the biology of the signal you send. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a pioneer in this field, discovered something revolutionary. Genes are like light switches, and the environment you place them in internally and externally determines whether they turn on or off. That environment is not just physical, it's emotional, mental, energetic. Let's bring it down to earth. Imagine you're under chronic stress. Your mind loops fear, your breath shortens, and your body releases cortisol, the stress hormone. In small doses, cortisol is helpful, it keeps you alert. But over time, it suppresses your immune system, disrupts digestion, weakens memory, and increases inflammation. That's not just discomfort. That's a chemical broadcast, a vibrational signal. Your cells obey. Now flip it. What happens when you feel safe, calm, grateful even for a few minutes a day? Your body begins to release chemicals like oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. These molecules don't just feel good, they heal. They tell your cells, you're safe, you can grow, you can thrive, and your biology listens. This is the foundation of energetic healing. You don't need to force change from the outside. You shift your internal environment, and your body responds because it always does. And the implications? Massive. Studies from Stanford and Harvard now show that meditation, breathwork, and gratitude practices can alter gene expression, reduce inflammation markers, and boost immune response in as little as 8 weeks. This isn't spiritual optimism, it's measurable science. So, the real question is, what signal are you living in? What story is your body listening to, day after day? I'd love to hear your reflections in the comments. And stay with me, because up next, we go beneath the surface to explore the silent weight we all carry. Subconscious resistance, the hidden anchor, and how it silently shapes what you allow yourself to receive. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, thinking positively, setting intentions, practicing gratitude, yet something still pulls you backward, like an invisible anchor beneath the surface? That anchor is often subconscious resistance, and it's more powerful than most people realize. Because while your conscious mind sets the goal, it's your subconscious mind that drives the ship. And here's the truth that may surprise you. Over 95% of your thoughts, behaviors, and reactions are governed by the subconscious. It's not personal, it's biological. And most of it was programmed before you were even 8 years old. Imagine this. You want to manifest abundance. You affirm it. You visualize it. But deep inside, there's an old script running, maybe from childhood, maybe from trauma, that says, I'm not enough, or people like me don't get to be wealthy. That belief lives in your nervous system. And no matter how hard you try on the outside, your subconscious will find a way to match the signal you truly believe beneath it all. This is why quantum jumping doesn't begin with effort, it begins with inner reprogramming. Because until your subconscious identity aligns with your conscious desires, you'll always feel like you're pushing against invisible walls. Bruce Lipton's work in The Biology of Belief explains that your cells respond not just to your environment, but to your perception of it. If your subconscious perceives danger, unworthiness, or lack, your biology and your reality will reflect that no matter what your conscious mind says. So how do you shift it? Step 1 is awareness. Notice the patterns that repeat, especially the emotional ones. Where do you self-sabotage? Where do you shrink? What triggers feelings of unworthiness or fear? Because to jump timelines, you don't need to push harder, you need to rewire deeper. And it begins by listening, not judging the signals your subconscious sends. Can you relate to this? Have you ever felt like you were holding yourself back without meaning to? Tell me in the comments, I'd love to hear your story. And stay with me because next we explore how your emotional patterns are not just feelings, but signals. The daily emotional broadcast and how it silently shapes your reality, moment by moment. Every morning, before you even open your eyes fully, your body is already speaking to the quantum field, not with words, but with emotion. Whether you feel anxious, grateful, rushed, or peaceful, you're sending out a frequency, what we can call your daily emotional broadcast. And here's what's often overlooked. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you wanted, responds to the vibration you consistently emit. According to Dr. David Hawkins' map of consciousness, every emotion carries a measurable frequency. Shame and guilt vibrate at the very bottom around 20 to 30 hertz. Fear lives at 100. But as you rise through acceptance, love, joy, peace, your frequency climbs, and your field begins to shift with you. Enlightenment, the highest recorded vibration, sits at 700 plus. It's rare but not unreachable. This isn't abstract theory. HeartMath Institute research confirms that your heart emits an electromagnetic field that extends up to 3 meters outside your body, and its rhythm is directly shaped by your emotional state. That means your feelings don't stay inside you, they become part of the environment you attract. So how do you change your broadcast? It begins with intentional emotional embodiment, and you can start in just 3 minutes a day. Try this. Each morning, before checking your phone or diving into the day, choose one elevated emotion like gratitude, compassion, or joy. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe in for 5 seconds and out for 5 seconds. As you breathe, bring to mind a moment, memory, or vision that sparks that feeling, not just as a thought but as a felt sense in your body. Let it wash through you. Stay there for at least 3 minutes. That's it. That's the signal. Because when you tune into that frequency each morning, your outer world begins to organize itself to match. Over time, it's not just your mood that changes, but your life. Have you ever noticed how your entire day feels different when you start it with calm or with joy? Tell me in the comments, what emotion are you choosing to broadcast tomorrow? And stay with me because next, we explore something deeply practical and powerful. Rituals that rewire reality daily. Habits that lock in alignment and build your quantum momentum. What if reality doesn't change through massive effort, but through tiny rituals, repeated with quiet devotion? The truth is, small, consistent actions send powerful signals into the quantum field. They don't just shift your mindset, they begin to rewire your entire identity. Because every ritual you practice is a vote for the version of you you're becoming. Over time, those choices accumulate not as habits, but as vibrational anchors. So how do you start rewiring your reality? Here are 3 simple rituals that can help you align, shift, and sustain your frequency throughout the day. Morning, 5-minute embodiment. Begin your day by closing your eyes and becoming the version of yourself you want to live as, not someday now. Feel their energy, posture, confidence, calm. Let that emotional signal broadcast from your heart. It's not about pretending, it's about aligning with what already exists within the field. Midday, breath and reset. When stress hits and it will pause, place your hand on your chest. Breathe in for 4, hold, breathe out for 6. In that moment, remind yourself, I can return to the timeline I choose. Stress doesn't define the day unless you let it. Evening, gratitude journal for your new timeline. Before sleep, Write one sentence. I'm thankful for the timeline I'm living, even if it hasn't fully arrived yet. This affirms to your subconscious that you are already living in resonance and your nervous system begins to believe it. These rituals may seem small but done daily. They create coherence, stability, momentum, and from there, reality has no choice but to respond. Have you tried anything like this before? Or is there a ritual that already helps you feel grounded and aligned? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear. And stay with me because next, we walk through the heart of the shift, the 4-step process to jump timeline, a clear, grounded path for real transformation. If this feels aligned with your journey so far, consider liking and subscribing. It helps this message reach others like you. What if shifting into a new reality didn't require changing your job, your home, or your entire life overnight, but simply changing your signal? Because jumping timelines isn't about doing more, it's about becoming different, not externally, but vibrationally. And the most powerful shifts don't happen in chaos, they happen in stillness. In those quiet, intentional moments when you decide to embody a new version of you, before your outer world gives you permission. Here's a 4-step process to begin aligning with a new timeline intentionally, consistently, and energetically. Step 1. Become no one through meditation. Each morning or whenever you can enter a space where your identity softens, find a quiet corner, put on a pair of headphones and play alpha brainwave music. 528 Hz is ideal. Close your eyes. Let go of your name, your past, your roles. This is what Dr. Joe Dispenza calls becoming no one, no thing, nowhere in no time. In this emptiness, you create space for something new to emerge. Step 2. Activate elevated emotions. Once you're still, bring your attention to the emotion of the version you wish to embody: freedom, joy, peace, confidence. Don't just think about it, feel it. Let it rise like a warm current in your chest. Studies from HeartMath show this emotional activation changes your electromagnetic field instantly. In this moment, you're not visualizing a future, you're broadcasting it. Step 3. Daily embodiment practice. After meditation, move as that version of you. Speak, walk, breathe like theme even in small ways. This creates neurological consistency. You're not pretending, you're aligning. Want a reminder? Tape a small note on your mirror or desk. What signal am I broadcasting right now? That simple cue can gently return you to presence. Step 4. Trust the quantum field to respond. This is the hardest part and the most essential. Don't chase, don't beg, trust. The quantum field mirrors who you are, not what you're impatient for. That means you relax into the knowing that what you broadcast is already unfolding beyond your sight, but not beyond your reach. This process isn't about perfection. It's about consistency, about signaling the field clearly, again and again, until the shift becomes inevitable. Have you tried something like this before? Or is there one step you feel drawn to start with? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear where you're at in your journey. And stay close because next, we'll explore something all of us face. When doubts arise, what to do and how to stay aligned even when your old self whispers, nothing's changing. What if the doubt you feel isn't a sign you've failed but a sign you're shifting? Because here's the truth we often forget. When you choose a new timeline, your old self doesn't just disappear, it echoes. Old emotions, thoughts, and reactions rise not to punish you but to be seen, felt, and released. Doubt isn't the enemy, it's the mirror. And that mirror asks, will you return to the past or will you breathe into the future you've chosen? Dr. Joe Dispenza reminds us that the body is addicted to the familiar past even if that past is pain, fear, or limitation. So when doubt arises, it's not failure, it's detox. And the key isn't to fight it, but to pause, witness, and reset. Next time you feel pulled into the old frequency, pause, breathe in for 4, exhale for 6, feel your feet on the ground, and gently say, I choose my new timeline even when the old feelings return. This is how you build neural strength. This is how the new path stabilizes. One practical tip, keep a short anchor script nearby, a note on your phone, a card in your wallet. Something like, I trust the process. I'm safe to grow. I am not my past, I am the signal I choose now. These micro moments of choice create macro shifts in your field. A 2018 UCLA study on emotional neuroplasticity showed that conscious emotional labeling, naming what we feel without judgment, can reduce amygdala activity and rewire the brain's response to stress over time. So next time doubt whispers, "Nothing's changing," smile back. You're watching the old version of you dissolve. That's progress, not punishment. Have you noticed old patterns resurfacing just as you try to grow? Let me know in the comments. Your story might help someone else feel seen. And stay with me, because next, we explore why quantum jumping isn't a one-time event. It's a way of living, a daily devotion to who you're becoming. What if your transformation wasn't something that happens in one big leap, but something that unfolds with every breath, every choice, every sunrise? Quantum jumping is not a single moment of magic. It's a rhythm, a lifestyle, a new way of being. It's not about waiting for some cosmic shift. It's about becoming the shift, day by day. Think of the person who wakes up each morning and gives themselves just 3 minutes of stillness, eyes closed, hand on heart, tuning in, asking, "What frequency am I choosing to embody today?" That one ritual, repeated with intention, slowly reprograms their nervous system, their energy field, their reality. Over time, that person doesn't just feel different, they become different. Because every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take is a vote for the timeline you're stepping into. This is what it means to live quantum, not to chase a future, but to reside in the vibration of it, moment by moment, breath by breath. The question isn't, when will it happen? The real question is, who am I resonating with today? Am I living in alignment with the version of me that's already healed, creative, free? Or am I slipping back into the habits of who I used to be? A study from MIT's McGovern Institute revealed that repeated mental emotional states physically restructure the brain's neural pathways, meaning your way of being is literally remapping your biology. So, instead of waiting for a sign, become the signal. What does that look like for you? What's one practice you could begin tomorrow morning to live as your highest timeline? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear how this is landing for you. And don't go anywhere, because next, we bring everything together in a final integration, declaration, embodiment, and expansion, the moment where your inner signal becomes your outer truth. What if the shift you're waiting for is actually waiting for you? This is the moment where everything comes together, not as theory, but as choice, as a declaration, a breath, a beginning. Because quantum jumping isn't something you achieve, it's something you become. Not through control, but through coherence. Not through striving, but through embodiment. So today, I invite you to make a quiet but powerful declaration, not to the world, but to yourself. Who are you choosing to be now? Not someday, not when it's perfect, but now. In the comments, leave one word that represents the timeline you are stepping into. Maybe it's freedom, maybe trust, maybe creativity, love, or expansion. Let it be your signal. Let it anchor your broadcast. Remember, you're not chasing the future. You're aligning with the present. You're not waiting to feel worthy. You're radiating that worth right now. And you're not a passive observer of change. You're the initiator, the signal, the quantum event itself. Dr. Joe Dispenza said, "The moment you start feeling abundant and worthy, you are generating wealth. That moment can begin now." So what do you choose to embody? Let me know in the comments. And if this video resonated, feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It helps more than you know, and it keeps us connected as we continue expanding together. Because in the end, you are not here to witness the miracle. You are the miracle. And this right now is the frequency of your becoming.